Okay guys, here we are back in the old garage, doing a video on the mil-spec and how to properly light it. These are pretty tricky to light if you're just used to a regular lantern. There's some tips and tricks that I'm going to give you to maybe get yours burning how it's supposed to be if you're having real hard time getting it to light. And I had a pretty tricky time getting this one to light right when I first got it. So when I first got it, I had to remove the brass plug out of one of the air tubes, and then it lit right and lit how it was supposed to and took off and actually burned. Before it was just a dim light, useless. But yeah, lighting them can be a little bit tricky. Basically what you got to know is that these are a low pressure lantern. Very low pressure. If you pump this up 30 times and try to light it, you're just going to get a huge fireball. And it'll stay a fireball. It'll never heat up hot enough to not be a fireball if you do that. So basically what you're going to do is I take off the vent and I take out one of the panes of the quad globe. And the reason I do that is it still soots. I have 3 of these mil-specs and all of them light the exact same way. So I remove the vent, which has a captured nut. I remove one of the panes of the quad glass, and then I light in through this area here. This is basically my lighting hole, and then I replace the quad glass in the vent. So I'm just going to give you a quick run on how I light mine. There might be others out here, but this is the easiest way I've found out how. Okay? I'm going to pump this lantern 3 times. I know it doesn't seem like a lot, but 3 pumps is enough to get this lantern going. So here you can count 1, 2, 3. Slow pumps. Okay, I got my match going. I'm going to crack my valve open. I'm going to get a match under there, and there we go. You're going to get a flare up. Close your valve off. It'll keep flaring and fireballing. It'll start to burn here in a second. Like I said, this is with 3 pumps. So you can see how quick the fuel drips out of that generator. I don't understand it, but that's just how they run. That fuel will burn off here in a second. Go ahead and replace your quad globe. And I just let it run like this for a few seconds. Make sure it ain't going to turn back into a fireball on me. It'll pulse and hiss and do what it wants to do for a couple seconds. Okay, it's burning okay. At this point I'm going to replace the vent. Okay, the vent's back on. Now it's been burning at a quarter turn now for about a minute. At this point you can go ahead and turn your valve. Once it's warmed up and you're thoroughly convinced it's warmed up, you can open your valve the rest of the way. Now, at this point I'm just going to let it sit. I'm going to let it sit and I'm going to let it work out its little hisses and its little pulses and everything. Because I still had this one turned back into a fireball at this point. So just let it sit. And let it hang out. Don't add any more pressure at this point. And it'll just sit there. And I'll be back here in about a minute or so. Okay guys, I'm back. It's been about a minute. I'm going to slowly add about 10 more pumps. 1, 2. You can hear it start to pick up. Okay, and I added about 4 or 5 more strokes right there, and I'm just going to let it sit. I'm not going to add all the pressure all at once. I'm going to let it sit and let it equalize for a few seconds. And I'll be back in about a minute. Okay guys, this is after about 5 more pumps. It's got a total of about 13 or 14 pumps in it now. The mantl's burning nice and bright. You can hear the sound change. It's not pulsing or flickering anymore. It's running how it should. At this point, you can go ahead and put in your last 5 pumps. This one runs best on about 20 pumps. Maybe 25. Any more pumps than that, and it'll start to pulse really bad and slurp. So I'm going to add in the 5 more pumps, and I'll be back with you. Here we go, guys. We're at a full roar now. This is about the level that it likes to run at. Like I said, there's only about 20 pumps in this tank at this point. It pumps up very, very, very quick. It's got a large pump on it. This one has really good pump leather on it too. Yours may take a bit amount more, but probably won't take much more. Once it's fully pumped, I would say 25 pumps max. Yeah, this is about where it likes to run at. It's about 20 pumps. Nice, steady light. If you're getting pulsing, you have way too much pressure. The light should be nice and steady. You see there's no pulsing on mine. It's just burning nice and bright. They are loud. They're a loud lantern. They sound almost like a kerosene lantern, but that's where it likes to run at. Now I will make note that if this lantern, when you shut it off, it will run for about 3 or 4 minutes after I shut it off. It takes them quite a long time to shut off. These lanterns are very frugal with their fuel. Since they're such low pressure, I'd imagine this one would probably burn for an awful long time on a tank of fuel. I use Coleman fuel in mine. You can use gasoline. It will ruin your generator eventually. I recommend Coleman fuel. So, they're not that hard to light. They are slightly finicky. They are a process. Most of them are different than others. The lighting procedure for this one may be different than yours. In fact, I almost guarantee it will be, but this is a good starting point. I learned this method off the Coleman Collector forums. It's a great forum with good guys that can answer any questions you guys might have. But yeah, that's just my way of lighting this mil-spec. I have 3 other mil-specs. 3, I believe 3. I may have 4th one. I'm not sure yet. I haven't cataloged my lanterns in quite some time, but this is my newest acquisition, and like I said, it's a little finicky. They all are, but they all light about the same way as this one, but yours may be different. This is a Coleman. All the ones I have are Coleman. If you have an S&P or an Armstrong or AutoFab, I think, made one at some point. Thermos made one. Bunch of different manufacturers made these mil-specs, and they all behave a little bit differently. But yeah, guys, that's just how to light one my way. It'll get you started. It's a good starting point, and you can see it burns nice. They're not super bright. They're rated at 200 candle power, so don't expect, a nuclear explosion in your eyes. But they're a nice little lantern, and they burn for a very long time. But yeah, guys, that's about it. If you guys have any questions, feel free to leave a comment or send me a private message. I'll be happy to help you all out. All right, guys. Have a good day.